Namaskar. This is Akhilesh Bhargava. Welcome to Tit-Bits on Business and Finance with me. It was in 2012 that the software giant Oracle USA paid a fine of $2 million to the SEC for having violated the FCPA, the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, which prohibits the paying of any bribes or giving of any illegal perquisites in the conduct of business by an American entity. Oracle was found to have violated the FCPA such that its books and records and internal control procedures failed to prevent, rather, they facilitated the payment of bribes to Indian government officials in return for a multi-million dollar order from the Ministry of Information Technology and Communications. Oracle is reported to have generated a slush fund of $2.2 million in India by payments made against bogus bills to its distributors and vendors for services that were never rendered to it. It is also reported to have reimbursed marketing expenses that were never incurred. In other words, money was siphoned away by booking such bogus expenses during 2005 to 2007, and that was used by Oracle India to obtain an order of millions of dollars by giving illegal payoffs and perquisites to the ministry officials. The SEC found out these illicit transactions of Oracle India, which is a subsidiary of Oracle USA, and levied a fine of $2 million with an obvious warning that such offences cannot be repeated by it. It got this order from the ministry in May 2006 and it paid a fine in 2012. But then such SEC action failed to discipline Oracle. It did not change its ways of doing business in India. And of course, such penalties and warnings do little to change the habits of Indian bureaucrats in the matter of bribes and favors. Oracle continued to deal with the Indian government system where corruption is a norm, preferring to toe the line and continue to do business in such manner, unmindful of the FCPA law in the USA and also the warning that the SEC would have given it in 2012. No wonder Oracle is now back in the news for violating the FCPA. A recent report says that the SEC has again penalized Oracle USA, this time with a hefty penalty of $23 million for FCPA violations committed by subsidiaries in the UAE, Turkey, and India also. As per the new findings, Oracle and its subsidiaries in these nations generated slush funds during 2006 to 2019 in a similar manner, which were then used to provide illegal perks and payments to government officials in return for business. Of the $23 million fine paid by Oracle this time, $8 million represents disgorgement of profits earned by it through these illegal practices, and $15 million is towards fines levied by the SEC on it. These Oracle companies in the UAE, Turkey and India generated slush funds by booking bogus expenses and giving bogus discounts to distributors. It thus generated a slush kitty in the hands of its distributors and vendors, which was then used to pay bribes and to meet travel and holiday expenses for the government babus and their families in return for government business, government orders. Oracle paid for the employees, for the officials to attend overseas technology conferences and to holiday in California with their families in return for business favors from these officials. To state the obvious, such slush funds were illegally created and they were of course put to illegal use too. The report further says that in the case of India, such illegal perquisites and payoffs are made to government officials by Oracle to get orders from a company owned by the Ministry of Railways. Oracle India is found to have generated the slush funds for this by giving a huge discount of 70% to its distributors and resellers involved in that transaction with the railways company, who in turn funneled $330,000 to an Indian entity known to route illegal payments to PSU officers in India. Oracle also is said to have paid $62,000 to another Indian entity controlled by its own employees who are responsible and involved in this transaction, And it also had a further buffer of $63,000 in order to meet such illegal payoffs and perquisites to the government officers, of course, for business that they gave them. The so-called discount of 70% was excessive even under the Oracle norms of generating such dirty money. And Oracle India had to take approval of a top supervisory executive in Oracle France who willingly approved of that discount even though it was devoid of any legal purpose or legal justification. The heavy so-called discount was justified by Oracle India, claiming that there was intense competition for that government order and it therefore needed to pull down its own prices in order to compete with the bidding rivals. The fact, incidentally, is that the railway company had been mandated to use Oracle products only, and there was thus no rival bid whatsoever for it. In generating such illicit funds to meet illegal expenses, Oracle violated not just the FCPA but also its own internal policies and its own code of conduct. Interestingly, Oracle's code of ethics and business conduct mentions integrity as one of its core values, claiming that it is honest and that it chooses the path of integrity in all its business transactions and dealings with others. Oracle further claims in its internal code of conduct that it is ethical driven in every business context and that it complies with all laws and regulations. It says that its code is a fundamental set of rules which define how its business is conducted with highest integrity and ethics, which we see has often been found to be missing in its dealings. The news report then says that despite the serious FCPA violation by Oracle, which has been found to be indulging in corrupt practices, the SEC yet settled the case by charging a penalty only, instead of pursuing criminal prosecutions against the Oracle executives who were involved in it. And for that it says, it settled the case in this manner only because Oracle was cooperating with the investigation, only because it was sharing information, it was providing a translation of key documents, and that it facilitated SEC interviews in this regard with its current and former staff. Oracle, of course, readily paid the fine of $23 million to the SEC without even admitting or denying the SEC findings. It thus never accepted its guilt. It, however, agreed to desist and cease from committing anti-bribery violations, and it agreed to comply with the FCPA regulations. Oracle said that the conduct outlined by the SEC is contrary to its core values and clear policies, and that it would take appropriate action if such behavior is identified. The company also fired its senior regional managers and employees involved in the misconduct, and it also terminated the distributors and resellers involved in the generation and distribution of the illegal funds, which to us must have taken place at the behest of Oracle itself, who was its real and ultimate beneficiary. The Indian government is yet to respond to these SEC findings of corruption involving officials of a government-owned company. To us, what lends further credibility to the SEC findings in this case is that even SEBI was involved in this investigation, assisting SEC. The fact is that this transaction, this misconduct, these bribes or these illegal payoffs or perquisites did take place. Oracle does not deny it. The various issues that emanate from this case to us are worth a discussion. The first issue: a fine of $23 million is actually peanuts for a company like Oracle, whose turnover last year was $42.4 billion and which earned a profit of $10.9 billion last year. It is also not an adequate fine for a repeat offender like Oracle, which repeatedly violates the law, which admits no guilt, and which then walks away by paying a paltry fine by its standards. A real punishment in this case would be criminal prosecution of the top brass of the company, which is responsible for this kind of contravention of law repeatedly. The second issue: FCPA sounds good on paper, but such kind of proceedings and fines will fail to stop the big companies who will continue to indulge in corrupt practices in pursuit of their business interests. Such an enforcement of the law makes it a toothless tiger which will not compel the biggies like Oracle to mend their ways. The third issue, due to the fear of stringent prosecution under the American laws, while the likes of Oracle refrain from indulging in corrupt practices in USA, they however care little and blatantly commit such crimes in other nations where the laws are not so stringent. They keep their country clean but dirty that of the others in their unethical pursuit of profit. The next one, the ability to get business by paying bribes and then getting away due to their sheer money power helps to maintain the monopoly and hegemony of the big corporations, and in the process, it denies business opportunities which are meant for smaller companies also. This case further confirms what we all know and face in our daily lives, which is corruption remains rampant and deep-rooted in India, and there is no respite or getting away from it, particularly if you want to do business with the government or with the government-owned entities. The present government has been on an agenda of anti-corruption, but the fact remains it remains as it always was. We would expect the government to initiate the most stringent criminal prosecution, not just against the concerned officials who received illegal payoffs and favors, but also against Oracle for repeatedly indulging in corrupt practices in India. That we think is the minimum that is needed in this case, or else, after a few years, you will soon get another report of Oracle or any other American company or other company having violated the FCPA and conducted business in India, indulging in corrupt practices. This is Akhilesh Bhargava signing off till we meet again. Namaskar.
Now be the first to know about the latest updates on our new news app. Go on your Android or iOS, search for HW News Network. Download our app, choose the language you prefer to get updates in, and be up to date with the latest news.